Hey there, everybody. Welcome back. I know I'm a couple days late on my normal weekly post, but better late than never, I always say. And this week, again, thank you for those who listened last week, jumped on, have listened to the last two actually. And last week's topic was about vulnerability. And I wanted to kind of jump back into that this week and speak to that in a little bit more in depth with some background, I guess. So as I mentioned last week, there's some really great research and information out there, and I'm not promoting and or affiliated with any of this that I might bring up today, but the research in the world of self-development, becoming your best self, growing as people. There's a lot of different research out there and a lot of depth that you can fall in a rabbit hole towards in trying to learn more about life and the tough things and how to support yourself and the people closest to you. But one of the biggest areas that I have found over the last 7 or 8 years through the work that I've been doing for myself personally is this idea of being vulnerable and what that means. I mentioned last week The Power of Vulnerability by Brené Brown, and her work was so profound for me in that first audiobook that I listened to that it's been something that I've referred back to frequently, many, many times, and used in a way to ground myself when I was struggling. And so vulnerability can mean a lot of different things, and it's important to kind of understand a few elements that go along with that. And the basic idea is that when stuff feels hard, when you feel that pit in your stomach that is uncomfortable, that is an opportunity and a time for you to lean into that. Be a good listener. Listen to your soul, your heart. Listen to the people around you if it's a situation where others are involved. And rather than armor up and hide and kind of that fight or flight thing, rather than fly away, lean into it and be strong in your conviction to be vulnerable. Vulnerability shows itself in a lot of places, and it can be something really deep and something really, really hard to work through, or it can be something that's just as simple as having the strength to ask for that raise at work. So really anything where you would feel that pit in your stomach, that's an opportunity to be vulnerable. It's an opportunity to be reflective. It's an opportunity to really evaluate the things that you want to work on and what those are. And it's an opportunity to share that with the people closest to you. Part of being vulnerable, and this comes directly from some of Brené Brown's situation or her teachings, is you really shouldn't have more than 1 to 3 people that are so close to you that have earned the right to be a part of your deeply vulnerable parts of yourself. Because when it's difficult and hard, those are the people that are willing to really show true empathy, who are really truly capable of stepping into that arena with you and supporting you, calling you out on your shit maybe, but doing it in a really loving and empathetic way. And there's a big difference between empathy and sympathy. Sympathy can send us right back into a shitstorm of, I don't want to be vulnerable, I'm going to armor back up. Whereas empathy gives us the space to continually feel comfortable being vulnerable. Being vulnerable takes place in the work in the work that you do. It takes place when you're being a parent. It takes place with your intimate partner. It takes place with your family. And those are all people that you also have to evaluate what level of vulnerability is safe with those people. But I can say that being vulnerable with my own kids, having hard conversations from a place of, you know what, I'm not perfect. Here's what I think, and you have a right to have your own thoughts and your own ideas, and I support that. And how do we work through this together? That's being vulnerable together. That's teaching your kids that being vulnerable does not automatically mean weakness. In fact, it never means weakness. Being vulnerable means being strong. And our country, our world, our communities, our families, we need more people willing to really truly be vulnerable, to say, hey, I don't feel good about this right now. And maybe sometimes you're not sure exactly why, but talking through it with the right people is so powerful. Like I said, asking for that raise at work, that's a place of being vulnerable. If you're trying to be creative and you're all individually on your own and by yourself, but you're trying something new, that's a place of vulnerability. If you're, addressing different concerns throughout parenting and raising your children and figuring out how to work through that, that's being vulnerable. If you're having troubles in your relationship with your partner, vulnerability is absolutely necessary to work through those things. And being able to be vulnerable and communicate that and articulate the things that are true to you and true to your heart and true to your beliefs, when you do it with the right people, it is always going to be met with things that make you grow as a person and as an individual. And it really is hard. It takes practice. It takes intentionality every single day. It takes making mistakes and then saying, you know what? I messed up there and I screwed that up and I want a chance to redo it. And the right people are going to be receptive to that and are going to know how to work through that with you. And the people that don't, the people that aren't receptive, they don't fucking deserve to be in the arena with you. They just don't. Those are not your people. That's not your people. I don't know how else to say it besides find those people that you truly feel 100% being comfortable with and being totally open with, and hold those people close and move on and let go of the people outside of that do not fit that category, because it is only detrimental to your own mental health, to your own goals in life. And it is so true that, any leader in any kind of a Fortune 500 company versus any successful relationship that you might observe, the success is because of letting it be acceptable to be vulnerable and to be strong, and seeing that as a strength rather than a weakness. And it is so powerful and so internally as a person who's struggled with really being in a shame shitstorm so many times in my life and letting that derail and destroy everything about me and my people and the processes of the things that I do, being able to approach different scenarios in a place of being vulnerable, and then how that feels on the other side of that hard work, it is indescribable once you get there, how amazing that feels. So I encourage you to, again, if you haven't yet, check out The Power of Vulnerability by Brené Brown, and any other really great research you might find on your own around shame and vulnerability and worthiness. And then really use that and work to apply that in some way, whether it's through, regular work with a therapist, regular conversations with the people closest to you that have earned that right to be a part of your, your team. and then lean into what that is. Today's is a little bit longer. Hopefully that's all right, but I'm also a proponent of sharing out, being vulnerable, and hopefully something today has spoken to you as it has for me and myself over the years. And I look forward to continuing to share and practice being vulnerable with y'all. Have a wonderful Thanksgiving. Enjoy this time around family or friends or solo if that's what you're doing. Whatever your plans are, take that in and remember that just because it's Thanksgiving, it's not the only time to, be thankful. We should be thankful and grateful for the things in our lives year round. But it's extra special at this time of year. Take a step back, take a breath. It can be super stressful, but it doesn't have to be. Enjoy the time, enjoy the holidays. We'll talk to you all next week. Thanks, everybody.